morning, and welcome to another exciting episode of Team Basstic TV. I'm your host, Evan Salve, and today I'm down here with regular Team Basstic TV contributor, Jeffrey Walker, aboard his 15-foot whaler. We're fishing Mission Bay for spotted bay bass. Stay tuned. Team Basstic TV is brought to you by Shimano, Power Pro, G Loomis, Big Hammer Swim Baits, Uni Butter, Bass King Clothing, and Inox Lubricants. So Jeff, you got your whaler up and running. You haven't really had it up and running since the last year's SWBA Dana Point event, right?
Yeah, Dana Point. Forgot to put the two-stroke oil in. That helps.
Yeah, it's just a beginner mistake, but you've got a great boat, and we're really stoked to be able to have it out here in Mission Bay. And you're going to be fishing the SWBA this year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who are you fishing with?
Dave Kerr, Mountain Man Tackle.
Awesome. Well, you guys should be a team to reckon with, hopefully for seasons to come. So we're going to get started here. I have the pleasure of driving his vessel right now. It's running great. It's purring like a kitten, as I said. And that's a good sign after what has really been a tumultuous series of events that have kept this boat on the trailer and off the water. But finally, she has made it out. You ready, Jeff?
I'm ready.
Let's burn some fossil fuels, get some spotted bay bass. So we're here in San Diego Bay. Why? Well, the fishing wasn't exactly what we were expecting over in Mission Bay. So we decided to cut out early, put the boat on the trailer, and come over to Shelter Island. We've just put it in the water. We're going to be looking at a variety of zones, hopefully catch the last part of an outgoing tide. We got a few fish over in Mission Bay, but we're hoping to improve on that and hopefully capitalize on some of the phenomenal fishing opportunities here in the larger San Diego Bay. So we just pulled in here. Really, we've only been in SD Bay for... Oh, there he is, fish on. What we're doing is there's some fish actually pushing some bait on the beach, and we saw that because I saw the birds, and I'm like, Jeff, look at the birds. And he's like, oh, indeed. And this is... Oh my God, what is this? What are you, an amateur fish? He attempted to eat my bait. You are a naughty bass, naughty. He's gonna learn from his mother. Didn't his mother teach him not to pick on things that are smaller than him? Anyway, we pulled in here, birds working on the beach, bait flopping around, Spotty's out of the water, and that turns into a swim bait bite because the water's clear, and in clear water, often, I don't throw the reaction baits. I throw the finesse applications, I throw the swim baits, 3-inch models, and I rack with the spotted bay bass. What do you think, Jeff?
It's fun. Really, really fun.
Awesome. We're going to keep working down this line. We're going to work down this beach, but as long as there's fish in here, as long as the fish are feeding, we're going to be here. We're actually spitting up microbait on the deck. Let's get back to the action. What a quality spotted bay bass here. Nice 1/4, 1.5 pound legal fish. Ate this key lime colored big hammer. For those of you who might not have had the chance to take a good look at a spotted bay bass, this is a spotted bay bass. Once again, as I always say, they share the same features as their little cousins. They're a little more rounded than, for example, the calico bass. Kind of got an ovalish shape to them, but their coloration is just really phenomenal. They've got these wonderful gold cheeks, gold flanks, and then they got the spots in there. So what a fine specimen, and we're gonna let them go. These fish are prime sport fish, and really nobody eats them, and it's a good thing that they don't, because if without these fish, it would be a very, very lonely bay. So let's let them in here. We're getting fish boiling, coming up forwards. I mean, it's really cool to see. This is like, what is that? A smell? For those of you who might not be familiar with the smell, that is a smell. We're gonna let him go. Goodbye, Mr. Buddy. Thank you for the fun. So when we're out here fishing for spotted bay bass, we're always gonna have a good selection of rod and reels for all the tasks at hand. Number one on that list is gonna be our general swim bait rod. I'm gonna be using this for 3, 4-inch swim baits, but it can also do swim jig applications and creature bait applications. That's gonna consist of a Shimano Curado E7 or E5, or one of the newer G5, G6, or G7s. In the E5, the G6, G7, E7, that basically tells you what the gear ratio is, with the E7, for example, being a 7-to-1 gear ratio, and E5 going to be the 5-to-1 gear ratio. What we've got it mounted on is a Shimano Kumara 7.2 MH. This rod is rated for a 10 to 17 pound test, so it's got a light tip. It can really load up and pitch those small 1/4 ounce baits. It can feel those bites, but it's got plenty of backbone for when the right fish eats your bait and you really need to get them into the boat. So this is going to be the first setup on the list. Next up is going to be our reaction bait rod. I'm going to throw spinner baits, switch blades, crank baits with it. It just depends on what I'm throwing. That's going to consist of a Shimano Curado 200 E7 or a G7, the new G7, and I'm going to have that on a Shimano Kumara 711 MH. Now this rod right here is rated for a 12 to 25 pound, so it's going to be a little bit more beefy than our 10 to 17 over there, but it still has that light tip, so the rod will load up a bit when the fish eat your bait. And a lot of times with reaction baits, you really want to make sure that can happen so you don't rip the hooks out of their mouth. So and also, it is longer, so you can make longer casts. You don't have to worry so much about accuracy. So this is our reaction bait rod. Always have it with you. Next on the list is going to be our finesse rod. This is what we're going to be using for strictly 3-inch swim baits, small creature baits, drop shotting, pitching on pilings. This rod is refined. It's going to consist of a Shimano Crucial. It's going to be a Shimano Crucial 6.8M. It's rated for 6 to 12 pound, and you can see that ultra light tip there. And we've got that mounted on the little Curado 50E. Equivalents that Shimano still makes are going to be your Core. It's going to be your little Chronarch E-Series. And this setup right here is not necessarily going to be the best option if you're dealing with large individuals and heavy structure, but like I said, if you're pitching into small places that you need to get into, if you're fishing in eelgrass, for example, or you just want to have a little bit of fun with some of the smaller fish, it's going to be my choice. But if I'm dealing with big fish, I'm going to go with that 10 to 17 for that application. Line-wise, we're fishing Power Pro on all those setups, anywhere from 20 or 30 pound for the finesse stuff, all the way up to 50 pound for the reaction baits. Fluorocarbon leader, we're fishing it a 3-foot length, anywhere from 8 pound and even 6 pound for the small stuff, all the way up to 20 pound for the reaction baits. A lot of people just like the straight Spectra, but I think that the fluorocarbon makes a big difference because you get that invisibility factor, you get the extra abrasion resistance, and it just makes me feel a lot more confident when I know that the fish can't see the line. Again, that invisibility factor. So those are the setups I'll always have on the boat. Go invest in the right gear, because when you hook that spotty of a lifetime, you want to know that your gear, your rods and reels, your line is up to the task. Today's Team Basstic shout-out goes to the Palos Verdes Fishing Club. They're running out of PV High, group of high schoolers who are making waves up in my hometown. So keep up the good work. It's good to see more youngsters stoked on the sport. So our day has come to a close down here in beautiful San Diego. We fished both bays today, starting in Mission and then moving on over to San Diego mid-morning. The fishing was tough in Mission Bay. We got a few nice fish. You got a nice one on the crankbait, right?
Yeah, about a 2-pounder.
Yeah, and then we came over here and we were able to analyze some of the visual signs we were seeing. There were some birds working in the water, some cormorants, some seagulls. There was some bait popping around, and we actually saw some spotted bay bass boiling on that bait right up against the shoreline. We went in there and started matching hatch, throwing some 3-inch big hammers, and really put the wood to them. We probably got about 30 fish over a hour, 45-minute period, and then picked away for the rest of the day. But overall, it was just a lot of fun. The weather was nice. It's just always good times with good friends. So thanks for tuning in to another exciting episode of Team Basstic TV. Any final words, Jeffrey?
Let's go do it again.
Let's go do it again. Stay tuned. I'm Evan Salve for Team Basstic TV, and I will see you on the water.